Hi parents, good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Parent Town TV. Today I have Candy Lowe with me and she's from Odyssey, the global preschool. And she's the center director there. And we're going to be talking about the Reggio Emilia philosophy and how you can prepare your child for primary one. So Candy, tell me, what does a center director do?
Basically, we take care of the whole center, so the teachers, the children, the parents. So as a center director, every day I'll do my rounds, walk around the school, make sure everything's in check, look through the curriculum, and basically sort of impart knowledge to the teachers so that they can do it to the children. Yeah.
Okay, and what's your background? Do you have a degree in early childhood or?
My degree and my background is actually business first, but because I really like children, and this is something that I've always thought of, have at the back of my head to actually teach children, but I didn't have the courage back then. So after my postgrad in business, I took on education. Yeah. So while working, I got even more interested and more passionate. So then I decided to take on a master's in education as well.
Okay. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the Odyssey preschool. What age children do you accept? How many centers are there?
Right now, we just opened our fourth campus.
Congratulations!
Thank you. It's a big one. Yeah. So we have 4 centers right now. We take in from 18 months. We take in from 18 months to 6 years old. But our new center at Still Road, they take in infants as well. So we accept from 4 months. So that is a big thing for us. Yeah.
And so the Odyssey curriculum follows the Reggio Emilia philosophy.
Yes, we adopt that teaching approach. Reggio Emilia is actually a teaching approach. It's not so much of a curriculum itself, because for educators, when we say curriculum, it means the different skills, the different concepts, the milestones that they have to hit. Reggio Emilia is an approach. Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about this approach.
So this approach, we adopted it from Reggio Emilia, that's in northern Italy. So it is a teaching style that we brought it back. So we call ourselves Reggio Emilia Inspired School. So we are project-based. Every term we have one different project, and this project is it takes about one whole term, which is about 8 to 10 weeks. So the kids learn lots of things. It's interdisciplinary. So we use lots of the environment as the third teacher as well. So Reggio is about allowing the children to have time to explore on their own, very inquiry-based, built on their own prior knowledge, and we also tie in with the parents and the community at large.
How does this differ from Montessori type of schools?
Montessori is also a different teaching method, so it is sort of a bit more structured in the Montessori way, in the sense that they have a set equipment to teach a certain concept. For Reggio Emilia, it's more fluid, it changes, so no one whole year in Odyssey is the same as the next. Yeah.
Oh, that must make life as a center director very challenging for you.
And interesting. Yes.
Interesting. And so, would you say that you're preparing your kids for primary one? And because it sounds very different from the Singapore school curriculum.
Yes, in a way, the approach is different, but the skills and the concepts that we equipped our little K2s to go into primary one is actually sort of similar, because for any 6-year-old in Singapore, they would have to learn how to read, write first, understand, and we do have all that taught in school before they go on and take on the primary one.
So how do you ensure that the kids are growing up with the necessary life skill if it's more towards inquisitive learning? So how do you ensure that they're learning the basics, math and science and the academic side of things?
That's a really good balance. We have skills workshop, which is we focus on what we call it the more academic side. So more of like those cognitive thinking, understanding the concept of addition, subtraction, and we also have the project. So the project is, as I said, it's a topic that the teacher comes up with when we do our group planning, and then each project is very largely guided by the children themselves. So it's very child-centered, and because the teachers have the knowledge of the different developmental milestones that the children have to reach, they'll plan and sort of infuse it into the project for that term.
Yeah. Oh, very fascinating. Do you have an example that you could share with us?
Example, for the first term of the year, Odyssey will have the Little Chef project. So it is a very fun cookery sort of activity for the whole term. So let's just say like cooking, when adults think of cooking, it is really just cooking. For preschool cooking, we also inculcate kinderpreneurship. So the older children, like 5 and 6 years old, they learn about the cost price, selling price. They learn about how a stall is set up, so that the different roles in the store, there's the cashier, the cook, the servers, the sales promoters as well. So all this, the children learn all the different skills of addition, of writing. They have to learn how to read the recipe. They have to learn how to go outside to the supermarket to get the groceries. So all this, the children learn all in the project. So they will be having all these skills, and they will be demonstrating the skills as well. That's where the teacher will come in, facilitate the lesson, and actually assess them, see the level that they're at.
So it's a very open philosophy in that sense, and it's very curiosity based. Again, these are not necessarily values that are encouraged in Asia, or necessarily respected in Asia. And a lot of times we hear of Asian educators wanting children who are obedient.
Yes, rote learning,
exactly.
drilling.
So is this going to be complicated for a child when they enroll in primary 1?
Not so, because we actually we believe that having the kids, the most important thing before they step out of preschool is to have all these life skills. So once they have these life skills and a positive disposition for learning, they will be able to fit anywhere. So we are actually preparing them to take on what a typical primary school would sort of need them to be in. Yeah, such as problem solving. Put it down very simply. If you are going to always give them rote learning and spelling tests, they'll just know that, let's just say 50 or 100 words. But if you teach them the technique of how to break it down, segment the words, and then blend it together to spell all these phonics and reading strategies, they'll be able to problem solve when they leave preschool. Yeah, so that's what we want to teach them to do, to problem solve on their own.
And so what would you say is some of the cons of a Reggio Emilia philosophy?
I wouldn't. Well, one of the
or disadvantages.
Because I went to Reggio itself a few years ago, so seeing the Reggio schools there, it's fully immersed. The parents stay for long hours to sort of be together with the children when they're learning. Over here, we can't adopt that because parents are so busy, and we understand. So we work very closely with parents. So for that, we will sort of try to cover that gap there.
Now, what happens if a household environment is very different from the preschool environment or the kindergarten environment? Is that going to be very confusing for a child?
In a way, yes, because there's no consistency. So that's why we do, at Odyssey, we also educate parents to our philosophy and how we actually group the children. Hopefully, they can bring the knowledge back and also have some consistency at home. Yeah.
And how would you advise parents who are trying to adopt such a philosophy, both at home and in school, but then they might be living in joint families or extended families with elders in the household who expect children not to be seen or not heard? So how would you advise parents when they have to discuss such a philosophy with their elders?
We always advise parents that a child doesn't, their learning doesn't stop once they go out of school. So they should also, the parents should also advise their parents, which is the child's grandparents, to sort of be very involved with their child's learning. So because for adults, learning means, go through a lesson, sit through activities and ace that maybe assessment or exam. But learning in preschool is really about understanding why we do certain things. Why do we cry? Why do we need to help our friends? All these things, I'm sure grandparents will be able to help, but they just sort of forgot.
Okay. So we've got some questions that have come in from our parents. Parents, if you're tuning in right now, feel free to ask any question and I'll be able to ask it to Candy here. So we have, how early can I start preparing my child for primary school? He's currently 6 months.
6 months, yes, that's never too early.
Mm-hmm.
But I think go according to the child's developmental level as well as the sort of general milestones. So at 6 months, of course, you wouldn't be teaching them like algebra or addition, but talk a lot to them so that they can pick up the simple linguistic skills. And as they grow older, see how your child is developing and also what is expected of maybe like 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old. So you can start very simply by talking to them, showing them, reading them books, because even if they don't understand, they see the different colors, they see how, you know, the directionality of your pointing, all this they'll be absorbing.
Yeah. And I saw a list of words my child needs to know how to spell before she starts primary 1. She can't spell most of them, and to make matters worse, many other mummies say that by K2s, kids should be writing paragraphs already. I'm worried my child will struggle to keep up, and how can your program help?
Okay, our program is more of helping the children learn to love learning. So for spelling, it's very stereo. I guess parents, especially in Singapore, they like spelling tests. Some parents ask me, "Oh, why don't you have spelling tests?" We don't test them. We believe not to put them under unnecessary stress, because once you hit primary 1, you're gonna get there anyway. So the teachers will help them to learn how to spell, learn how to read. So having a very good foundation in the letter sounds, learning how to blend them, know how to segment them, then all these are strategies that the child should know to be able to read.
Yeah. And the Reggio Emilia course is focused on project-based assignments. How will this ready my son for primary 1 where the lessons are separated by periods and not focused on one child?
Right, that's a really good question. So for even though primary schools they separate into lessons, right, that is really just a timetable, because even at preschool we do have a timetable. We do have like lunch or math time, Chinese time. We also have a timetable, but what we tell the children is that when how we teach them how to self-regulate. So sort of know how to pack up when the lesson is finished, how to tune in when we start the lesson. So all those are also life skills that they have to know how to also problem solve. Yeah, and sort of know how to sit through a day in primary school.
Okay. We've got, what are the social skills kids should have by the time they enter primary 1?
When they enter primary 1, they should know how to communicate with their peers. They should know how to interact with adults, and very importantly, problem solve. I always say problem solve is because problem solving to adults is something very big. If you have a huge problem, you think of all the different steps to solve. But in a preschool, problem solve is as simple as if you are in a big school alone, without your friends, no familiar faces, no parents, no teachers around you, how are you going to go back to your class? Or if you need to go to the toilet, you can't find that, problem solve. Do you look for signs? Do you ask somebody else? So all those are problem solving skills and sort of critical thinking, so that the child will know how to go about life. Because I think we should be preparing our child for life and not say so much of the primary 1. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. I completely agree with you. As an entrepreneur, I always wonder about how we can inculcate more problem-solving skills. And it's really great to know that, at the preschool level, they're being taken care of at, senses like
it's really
of
simple,
yourself.
as in how do you find, where do you find your pencil? Where do you last put your pencil case? All these steps are really simple and helps the children to regulate and know what to do next. Yeah.
And how do you discipline children within this course structure?
For children, discipline is a big part, and so we also do expect the children to be disciplined enough. But when we say discipline, it isn't just reprimanding them, scolding, "Oh, why did you do this?" and all that. But it's also for example, when they start school in the toddler age, so 18 months-ish. So because some of them, they do have the language and they do understand what you're saying, but some don't. So because every child is different, so for those who don't really understand yet, we model for them. We do still talk to them, carry on talking to them, model for them, teach them about empathy. Oh, do you like it if someone else hit you, if the child hit? And then for the older ones, lots of reasoning and reflective thinking. Why did you do that? Yeah.
And how do you instill independence and a growth mindset within the child?
For independence, it's really so independence. For them, for example, when they're in the class, because we have different corners in the classroom, like math corner, different activities, they will have to learn to sort of decide which activity they would like to go to first. And then it's really them independently choosing what to do first and what to do next. Yeah.
And what about the growth mindset?
The growth mindset, we do whenever the kids, when maybe they can't spell something or they just sit down and they just break down because they feel a bit stressed, we teach them and we let them know that it's okay to not know how to do something. It's okay to falter, but they just have to have like a good mindset to grow, so that they will learn how to sort of accept challenges and sort of take it on positively.
And we have, what is your approach to teaching life skills, such as emotional skills?
We do teach them in a few ways, like through literacy, through circle time. So we tell them lots of stories, we talk to them, and sort of during our circle time, we sort of share new sort of real experiences that the class is actually going through.
And we've got a very interesting one. It says, Odyssey school fees are very high. How do you all justify such high school fees?
It is high. I do admit it is high. Yes, because of the quality of the teachers that we get, and as well as if you have seen the school compound, it is huge. There's not many places in Singapore that sort of gives children such vast space for them to run and explore. So the teachers that we have, because the ratio is also one of the lowest in Singapore, and each of the teachers at Odyssey, we don't only groom children, we groom parents as well as we groom the teachers. So teachers are sent for trainings, and all that, of course, we do need the cost. Yeah.
So what is the classroom size?
The classroom size for the young, for infant is 1:2.
Wow.
For toddler, 1:4. So
Okay.
the maximum is 1:10. Yes.
Okay. And so you all have a huge compound. So do you also focus a lot on outdoor activities?
Yes, we do lots of outdoor because Reggio Emilia is also using the environment as a third teacher. So we do lots of outdoor. And outdoor is not only sports like running or creative play at the playground. It's also simply bring them out to do a phonics lesson. Maybe like hopscotch, then you can write the different letters and they can go and learn how to sound out the different letters. Yeah.
And what about things like gardening or things like that?
Yes, we have won awards consecutively since 3 years ago for being a green school. So we do have quite a big orchard on the second floor, and we have cut out different plots of land for the different classes to go and plant their seeds. So in that, they also learn the whole plant life cycle. So this incorporates science, and then why certain plants die and what make plants live. Yeah.
So a lot of the classmates that a child would enter in the school with would be of a slightly more affluent background. How would you prepare your child for the real world, where you're going to meet people of all walks of life and all socio-economic strata as well?
Yes, we do show them, we do bring them out. Like for example, we just went for the Superhero Me Pioneer Foundation. So then we also, because one of our core values is embracing diversity. So diversity is everybody inclusive. So we do let them, we expose the children to different walks of life, different houses even. Yeah.
Okay. And would you say that if you had to give one advice for a parent before they start sending their kids to school, what would that advice be?
The advice would be very simply to help them to be independent from home, because as you know, our kids and our parents, they, as you said, they're from affluent families, so they're helpers, grandparents, everybody helping this child. But when the child comes to school, parents get really amazed by their abilities to feed themselves, to wear their own shoes, because they don't do it at home. But they know that at school they have to do it, so they do it, and they know how to do it. So that's really good. We're trying to groom a competent child as well. So for parents, before they send a child to preschool, they should try to step away from helping our child and let them have a go at it first.
So we've got the final question. Do you encourage parents to participate in classroom activities with the children?
Yes, we do that. That's also one of our philosophy, to have parents engagement. So every term, every class, they will have a parent in class activity. It can be as easy as a parent coming in to do some sports with the children, to even for storytelling. Yeah, we want the parent to be involved with the child's learning, and every time when the parent walks in, we can see that the child, their face lit up, because it's really, they do like seeing their parents with them in the school.
And if a parent can't attend, can they send their parents instead, or grandparents, or is it strictly just for parents?
We want that parent-child bond, so we do advise for parents to come and not send helpers. But so far, they have been really participative and excited.
But what happens if you have working parents, both of them in high corporate jobs, and they can't afford to take the time out?
We do have also other events sometimes on Saturdays to ask them to come in, because we have like children's showcase, we have our art exhibition. That's on a Saturday, and concerts also on a Saturday. So when we have concert, it's not just about performance, it's about how well and how much a child has grown. The stage presence, voice, projection. So the parents can also, they don't have to take time off on a Saturday, hopefully, and they can come and join on the concert.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for answering all of our questions, Candy. And thank you, parents, for joining in for today's episode of Parent Town. We talked about Reggio Emilia and how to raise a child that is ready for primary 1. Thank you, parents, for joining us for another episode of Parent Town TV. Today we spoke about the Reggio Emilia philosophy and how you can raise your child to prepare them for primary 1 using this curriculum. Thank you so much, Candy, for joining us as well.
Do you have any
final words of advice for our parents?
Okay, final word of advice. Parents, do shop around go and have a look at the different preschools that are available in Singapore, which are a lot, and choose one that is most in sync with your philosophy of raising a child as well. In that way, you'll be able to work well with the school and also help all together in the betterment of your child.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
And see you again at next week's episode.